Hello, my name is Nathan Winter. This is my final video project for Abnormal Psychology. For my project, I chose to cover a film that relates to a abnormal disorder. I saw it on the list of movies that it said we could choose from, and it stood out to me because it's actually one of my favorite movies of all time. So the movie I picked is 1996's Trainspotting with Ewan McGregor. For those of you who don't know, it's a very well-known film. It's very critically acclaimed, but it's very notorious for being like really messed up, because it is. And the plot is essentially, it follows a group of friends who are heroin addicts, and the main guy is, trying to, figure himself out, and a lot of bad things happen. So my purpose with this video is to, talk about the movie, talk about how it pertains to abnormal psychology as a science, and to identify its relevance to like real world type stuff. Like, there is an opiate epidemic, we all know about it. So let's get right into it. First off, what is heroin? That is the subject of the movie and the mental disorder that I'm getting into. So what is heroin? So it comes from opium, which it's been around for thousands of years, used for sedative and pain-killing effects. In 1804, morphine was derived from opium, which is stronger, it's more addictive, it's more effective. And then in 1898, eventually morphine was converted into heroin, which is, extremely dangerous, extremely addictive, extremely potent. So yeah. And as it says in the text in chapter 10, opioid use disorder develops in one when they use heroin or any other opiate for I would say around 20 days straight, like a few weeks. You get these really bad withdrawals. It makes you sick, similar to the flu. Super painful, super not fun. And it's just kind of what, people who struggle with this addiction have to deal with. Like, it's get high or go through that. And it's really, really messed up. So the movie starts off with a scene where you have, the main guy, Ewan McGregor, running from police with a couple of his friends because they're stealing stuff to buy money for heroin. So right away it kind of establishes, these guys are pretty bad. Like, they're really severely, have a dependence on this stuff. And it is a nasty addiction. So let's get into that. So when one ingests heroin, it binds, similar to pretty much every other opioid, it binds to the mu opioid receptors in your brain, and it produces dopamine. But the more you use it, the more it wears down those receptors. So thus, you have a tolerance and you need more and more to get high. And it's pretty bad stuff. And it says on this government website, I can cite it, the National Liberty of Medicine website, this article, I'm quoting, I need to find the exact quote. It states that opioid dependence and addiction are most appropriately understood as chronic medical disorders like hypertension, schizophrenia, and diabetes. I think a lot of people don't really take this into account when it comes to addiction. Like, a drug this intense, it's going to literally physically or physiologically impact your brain to the point where, it's like fight or flight senses type stuff. Like, your brain has literally been rewired to steal, or do whatever horrible stuff, and the movie does get worse. Yeah, so I guess next I'll go ahead and discuss the plot of the movie itself. It's not as conventional as most movies. It doesn't have thing happens and that leads to this thing and then that leads to this thing. It's more kind of just a series of seemingly unrelated events, like them going to a bar and getting in a bar fight, and then the group of junkies, one of them overdoses, and then one of them gets arrested. But it pretty much culminates in them scoring like a really good deal on selling a bunch of heroin to like some Russian guys or something. And then one of them, the main guy played by Ewan McGregor, kind of, you know, cheats the rest of his friends out of their money and then runs off to, you know, have a new life. And that's kind of how the movie ends. It's very open-ended. So yeah, that's like the overall plot. Just thought I should, you know, say it. So the next thing I want to get into when talking about this movie is the most harrowing scene in the movie, if you ask me, or pretty much, I would say pretty much anybody who's seen the movie. It's a part in the movie where the group of friends are all hanging out in a drug den where they all go to get high. And one of them is a woman who has an infant child that she has living in the drug den with them. But of course they're getting high all day. They're neglecting the child, and the child passes away, and they find it deceased in its crib. And it's absolutely gut-wrenching. It is one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen in a movie ever. And once the mom finds that her child is dead, she, you know, cries and screams. And once everybody figures out what's going on, that, you know, the baby is gone, she just asks for a hit of heroin to soothe the pain. And I think it really just does. It's a horrific scene, but it does a really good job at portraying just how badly this affliction just drains you of all humanity, any semblance of humanity. It's really a messed up mental disorder. Next, I want to get to the relevance that this movie and its application to abnormal psychology has on real life, which is we are currently in the midst of an opioid epidemic, primarily because of fentanyl and all the fentanyl going around. So it's not really quite the same thing as heroin. It's a lot stronger, it's a lot deadlier, and it's killing a lot more people. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, in 2019, 49,860 people died from opioid overdoses, which by 2022 rose to 81,806 people. That's literally 10 times the number of people who died of an opioid overdose in 1999. It's just been increasing and exponentially increasing as time goes on. This is a really scary thing, and I believe that people need to be made aware of it. Unless, you know, we take action with policies or, I don't know, something, it's not going away. It's going to keep killing people, more and more people. Maybe some of you have known some people who've overdosed. I certainly have. And it's a really sad thing. As far as what we can do to soothe the opioid epidemic, aside from spreading awareness, I would encourage people to obtain some Narcan, which is a nasal spray that you give to somebody if they're overdosing, and you can save their life and stop them from overdosing. You can obtain it through like certain government programs. That's how I got mine. I do have a couple of doses of Narcan. So yeah, totally important, but that's about it. Awesome semester. Hope you all have a good life.